Yo, what's good? What's going on, everyone? Hope you're having a great day. It's Neff, and today I'm going to be giving you guys a guide for Havoc Demon Hunter in 10.1. As always, with these guides, I provide a spreadsheet for BIS gear, talent loadouts for each boss in the raid, and more stuff. So if you want to check out the spreadsheets, they're linked in the description. But before we get into the video, I want to quickly shout out my Discord. We have over 1,000 members and a lot of like-minded people there. So if that's something you're interested in, link is below. My Discord is also where you can download my UI. My UI is available for my supporters on Patreon and Twitch. So if you become a patron for only $3 USD or sub to me on Twitch with either Prime or a paid sub, you can get all my class, dungeon, and raid week orders, all my profiles to all my add-ons and stuff like that. And they're all updated for 10.1, and all that can easily be installed with my installer. My UI currently supports 1080 and 1440p, and I also have an LVUI version and a shadowed unit frames version for those of you who like performance over whatever the hell LVUI gives you. So yeah, links to everything down below. But now that that's out of the way, let's get into the video. So first off, let's just take a very quick look at what the tier set does for Havoc Demon Hunter in 10.1. So the 2-set bonus went through a couple variations. But what it does now, finally, is every 175 fury you spend, you gain Seething Fury, increasing your agility by 8% for 6 seconds. This is basically just a worse version of our current 4-set from 10.1. You know, this 2-piece is not very great. You know, it's okay. It's like a 4% damage increase in single target and a little bit more in AOE. Because primary stat is always better in AoE, but our 4-set bonus is each time you gain Seething Fury, you gain 15 Fury, and the damage of your next I-beam is increased by 15%, stacking up to 5 times. So while running Cycle of Hatred, you can get about 3 stacks of the I-beam buff for each I-beam. With the Any Means Necessary build, you can and you should get all 5 stacks for each I-beam. Yeah, all in all, this tier set is a little bit worse than our current tier set bonus, which, spoiler alert, is why they nerfed our current tier set by about 2.5%, just to make our new tier set bonus more competitive with our current tier bonus. I'm going to try and quickly go through the changes Havoc received for 10.1. There's not a whole lot to talk about, but it definitely is worth mentioning. So first off, Serrated Glaive now causes enemies hit by Throw Glaive to take 20% increased damage from Chaos Strike, in addition to its current effect, which is Serrated Glaive makes targets take 20% increased damage from I-beam. And the Serrated Glaive debuff duration was increased to 15 seconds and now retains up to 30% additional duration when refreshed. It was 10 seconds, so essentially you could Throw Glaive twice and have a total duration Serrated Glaive up for 19.5 seconds, which these changes to this talent makes it a pretty good option for single target because of our tier set. And before, you know, this talent was basically just a worse Blind Fury. We also got a change to Accelerated Blade. It now causes Throw Glaive to deal 60% increased damage. It was 20, and its damage is reduced by 30% for each previous enemy hit, which makes the Any Means Necessary build a bit better in single target, and it has way better priority damage, which is really nice. But this doesn't really change anything in our single target build. We also got a bug fix to Chaos Theory that fixed an issue that prevented Chaos Theory's bonus crit chance from affecting offhand hits of Chaos Strike and Annihilation. Then we also got a couple buffs in the past week. Demon's Bite, damage increased by 8%. That doesn't really matter. You'll never play that. Demon Blades increased by 8%. That's good. Fell Blade increased by 8%. That's also good. And then Chaos Strike and Annihilation increased by 8%. Not sure where they got the 8% from for everything, but yeah, I guess it is what it is. But yeah, like I said earlier, they nerfed our current 10.0 tier set by about 2.5% to make it about even with the new tier set. So with all these changes and buffs considered, it equals to about a 3% damage increase with the new tier set and the new single target raid build, which we'll talk about now. So yeah, we're moving on to the best single target build after the changes and buffs. So you can see the old build on the left and the new build on the right here. With the changes, we now take Serrated Glaive in single target, which means we now need to press Throw Glaive for real damage in our single target build. But you can see we're swapping out Demonic Appetite for Serrated Glaive, dropping 1 point of Blind Fury for 2 points in Serrated Glaive, and then dropping Restless Hunter for Relentless Onslaught. So with this build, we are a bit less bursty since we're dropping Restless Hunter, but overall damage, this will be your best option for throughput. Not sure how the two builds will compare. If there's like a big damage amp or something, but I'm assuming this build will still be better. But yeah, only time will tell with that, since it's kind of hard to sim that kind of thing, right? But since the Serrated Glaive change and now we're playing Relentless Onslaught, this increases our Annihilation damage by a substantial amount, and Annihilation will end up being our top damage again. So our AoE build is basically the same. It's kind of changed to bent since the Blind Fury change a couple months ago. Instead of taking, so you can see on the screen here, instead of taking Burning Hatred, we now take 1 point of Blind Fury instead. With the new tier set, Blind Fury will have even more value because our I-beam will be doing way more damage. And honestly, playing with Blind Fury feels a lot better because it guarantees you a decent amount of Fury for your Essence Break and Demonic windows. So yeah, not a whole lot to talk about here. It's basically the same. Use I-beam and Essence Break together and your rotation still looks the same. Something like Immolation Aura, Hunt, Fel Rush, I-beam, Essence Break, Vengeful Retreat, Meta, Death Sweep, Annihilation, I-beam. Always keep at least one Throglaive charge on cooldown while on meta. And outside of meta, you spam keep both charges of Throglaive on cooldown. One thing I do want to mention that people don't realize with this build is that Sigil of Flame is a great damage button in AoE and a great Fury generator. So yeah, everyone I talk to that plays this build and they say they have trouble with like Fury or something, every time I look at a log that they send me, they're not using Sigil of Flame enough. And you basically want to be sending that thing on cooldown. Now we'll quickly look at the stats we want as Havoc. With the new tier, the new build and single target, Crit Haste ends up being our best stats. Crit Mastery remains the best for AoE. I think this is a good thing and a bad thing because having haste and single target makes single target way more fun. But it's a bad thing because we now need different stats for different forms of content. You know, if you're actually trying to min-max stuff. And the reason we want haste is pretty simple. It's just better for our tier set. We get more Fury refunds, so more Fury, and that equals more 8% agility buffs, and then more I-beam stacks from our 4-piece. Plus we use a lot of hasted random procs per minute items, like the Krog Tusk, our new Embellishment, and one of our best trinkets is hasted. Haste and Mastery are still pretty close in single target though, so unless you're absolutely trying to min-max damage in raid, prioing Mastery Gear is probably the better option for you at first. Anyways, next we'll take a look at our new best embellishment setup. So Lariat was nerfed and they buffed basically every other embellishment, which is why we now want Toxic Thorn foot wraps with the Toxic Armor patch. So throughout all the embellishment buffs they did, this embellishment was buffed by a total of 172%. The proc effect from this embellishment is also increased by haste, which is a reason we start to prefer haste. But even without haste, this setup is still better than Lariat. The haste just makes it even better. So going straight into 10.1, you're going to want to have this crafted and ready. And depending on what content you plan on doing, if you're raiding Mythic and care about your Mythic prog, you should probably craft Crit Haste on all your crafted items. If you don't really care about Mythic prog at all, and you just do M+ and stuff, you should probably just do Crit Mastery. So finally, we'll move on to the BIS Gear for Havoc in 10.1. Now this is BIS Gear in Sims. Different fights, there might be better options with how much different gear there is. It's impossible, you know, to have an indefinite BIS Gear setup for like all forms of content. Yeah, you can see on the screen here is the Google document I made, and you know, I'm pretty proud of it. You know, look how pretty it is. so basically there's 5 different categories for each slot: item, encounter, zone, and stats. Then color coordinating each piece by the content it's acquired from. So if you want to save this sheet for yourself, like it says here, I will be updating this throughout the entire tier, and I will be adding a BIS list for Mythic Plus gear, since we want different stats in Raid and Mythic Plus. I just haven't got around to that yet. You know, this stuff takes a ton of time, and I kind of wanted to just get this video out and, you know, give people the document and everything like that. I also added a list of items that are a bit easier to get early if we scroll down. A lot of this gear is basically from only dungeons, crafting, and then all the tier will still come from raid. You can see in the list I left chest as crafted in the early gear, but if you have to take tier chests to get your 4-piece, I recommend just like crafting a belt instead of the chest, so you have 4-piece and your Toxic Armor patch. The bad thing about the armor patch is that it can only be placed on armor pieces. So that would be your helmet, your cloak, your shoulders, your chest piece, wrist, glove, belt, and legs and boots. So we can't do our boots because that's where our Toxic Thorns are. You know, the other 5 pieces are tier, and early on, you know, we want to get our tier as fast as we possibly can. So if you're slowing down getting your 4-piece, just to have a crafted piece there for your Toxic Armor patch, that's not going to be the play. But you can see here, I recommend doing the belt or the wrist. I did some sims and the belt ended up being the better option. These are up to you. If you end up in this situation, I recommend just, you know, simming yourself with a crafted belt or a crafted wrist, and then see which option would be better for you. But yeah, there's a link in the description to the sheet. Like I said, I recommend saving it. I will be updating it throughout the tier. And here is finally the sim for this gear. We're simming at 132k in single target, which in comparison to other specs, it's not very good, honestly. The thing about Havoc is if you throw in an ad, you know, we can do all the single target damage, plus passive cleave on ads or another boss while doing all this prio damage, which a lot of people don't look at. And, you know, also we bring Chaos Brand, you know, fuck with Chaos Brand. You know, that's, yeah. It's probably why we suck most of the time. But yeah, there's a link to this raid bot sim in the description, and it's also in the Google Doc, which I will also be updating when I update the gear. You know, if I find a new better piece of gear, or if something changes, you know, I'll update the raid bot sim on the Google document as well. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers everything. If you're still wondering about something, drop a comment below and I'll try to get to it as fast as I can. You can also hop in my Discord and ask me anything in there. There's a link to it in the description. Links to my Patreon and Twitch are down below if you want to support me. And yeah, I hope you guys found this useful. I put about a week of time into this, so I really hope it's useful. Anyways, hope you guys have a good day. Till next time, peace.